Hello everyone and welcome to our call. This morning, we're pleased to be launching our new presentation platform using the interactive and 3D Verify presentation tool. During the presentation, you will see the property, how close the gold and VMS zones are to one another, and the infrastructure that surrounds the Perron property. We will also review the new Team Gold Zone, and it really was a team effort to discover this important new zone. We have drilled 20 holes into this zone, 14 of which contain visible gold. There is still a lot of drilling to do in this area to determine the true potential, and fortunately, we are well financed. With me on this call is Kelly Malcolm, Vice President Exploration at Amex. Kelly will take you through our presentation, and after we will both be available to answer your questions. You can type the questions in the chat bar on the Zoom app. Over to you, Kelly.
Sure, thanks. And yeah, you can see Q&A at the bottom. I see someone's already asked a question, so we'll certainly get to those very soon. So anyone that saw my presentation at Beaver Creek, this will be somewhat similar. We're going to be doing essentially a real estate review of Perron. We think the infrastructure here is phenomenal, and I'm really excited that we're able to bring each of you virtually up to the site. We'll also take a look in 3 dimensions at the drilling underground with a focus on the Eastern Gold Zone, including the Team Zone, E2 Zone, High Grade Zone, Denise Zone, and a number of other discoveries. So, and then we're certainly happy to answer any and all of your questions afterwards. So I'm going to turn my video off so you can see this screen, and we'll start right now. Thank you very much. So, as we all know, Amex, we're looking for gold in Quebec. We have found, in my opinion, quite a lot of gold in Quebec in a number of different deposits. We've also found some copper and zinc mineralization. We will make forward-looking statements in this presentation, so please be mindful of that and read this in detail on our website. And this data has been reviewed by our qualified persons. So on a corporate front, before we jump into the property and the geology, Amex currently trading about $1.80. We had a nice around here. We had a nice move in the stock price on the backs of our discovery yesterday, so we're very pleased with that. Market cap around $180 million. Shares issued 103 million. Something that we've been working hard on, especially our team up at site, actually as well as our executive team, is this Eco-Logo certification that we recently got. It's essentially the Quebec standard for ESG practices. We're one of, I believe, 14 companies that have it in the province of Quebec. And we think that it opens us up, not only showcases what we've done and how we've been acting in with best practice for the past couple of years, but also potentially opens us up to additional investment opportunities from funds that are very much actively looking for ESG compliant and leaders in the industry. So now we'll take a look at the Verify package. So this is the Abitibi Greenstone Belt. We've got a number of major faults, the Cadillac Larder Lake Break, we've got the Sunday Lake Break to the north, Casa Berardi, and then all by its lonesome, we've got the what we call the Jacobi Deformation Zone or the Normatal Deformation Zone here with the past producing Normatal mine. However, as you can see, very little gold mines along that fault. We hope to change that one day in the future. Essentially, it's the same geology and same deformation as the other major faults. It's just in a less accessible location. So we're close by to a number of projects: Hecla's Casa Berardi, Agnico's Hold Holloway, IAMGOLD's Westwood, and we've got the Timmins Camp, Val-d'Or Camp, Detour Lake Camp, Kirkland Lake Camp, all around us. Essentially, we're surrounded by some of the biggest gold mining districts in the world. Taking a look at the actual property, this is an aerial view. You can see the town of Normatal to the east over here. And our property is in yellow. I'm just going to draw a quick geological map for you all so you get a good handle on the project, on the property, and what we're excited about and what we're working on. So we have this Jacobi Fault right here, which is actually the major deformation zone in the area. And it speaks to what I was just mentioning about the major fault zone similar to the Sunday Lake Deformation Zone. So that's down to the south. In this area here, we have a sedimentary rock package comprised of high energy conglomerates and a number of other clastic sediments, very typical of a large scale deformation system. In this portion here, it's an andesitic rock unit that I'll show you shortly when we look at all the drill holes that have been completed over the past 20 plus years that the property has had the company's had the project. Very little work has been done. We recently did a property-wide, actually 2 property-wide geochemistry surveys, one of them being what's called a spruce bark sampling program. The other one being what's called it's a weak leach soil survey program. So I'm really excited to get the results for that area, because if you think about classical geology, that actually is one of the main packages where you would expect to find gold in proximity to the fault in more mafic rocks. However, in our case, we have been finding a lot of gold in the Beaupré rhyolite, which comes in right along here and sits in sort of a wedge shape in this portion in the center. The Beaupré, as we've seen with our most recent release, all the way back to really 1997, but really since AMEX started going here in 2019, we've really understood that this Beaupré rhyolite block is very auriferous, and it hosts a lot of gold mineralization. To the north, we have another package of felsic rocks. What's neat about that is over here, a little bit to the east, is the Normatel mine. To the north of this Normatel fault is the most prospective area for VMS mineralization. And coincidentally, we made a VMS discovery not too long ago on that same horizon. There's lots of prospectivity for additional VMS mineralization. But as it looks right now, we have VMS to the north, gold in this portion here, and then this andesitic unit completely unknown. So that's something that I'm very excited about looking at in the coming months or coming year or so. Taking a look at the property in a bit more detail, this is a little bit more about what we've discovered. So on a property history level, Gretienne Gold Zone found in the 1990s, Central Polymetallic Zone 2013, Eastern Gold Zone, mainly Denise and High Grade Zone, found in 2019, Grey Cat Zone 2019-2020, Alizé 2021, QF 2021-22, and as you've seen through our recent press releases, we anticipate finding more gold on the property. The pending resource, or the resource that we're working to eventually get ready for market, dominantly will be comprised of these main defined zones. The bulk will come from Denise and the high grade zone here. Also will be included as Gretienne Gold Zone, Grey Cat Zone, and potentially some of these other newer zones we've identified recently that they need some more work, need some more drilling, need some more infill, but potentially can add significant ounces to the overall inventory on the property. This is the property tour, and honestly, it's really special because I've worked in remote places around the world, in Canada in particular, and infrastructure is really, really, really important to a property and its mineability. So what we have here is just a look at our very road accessible Perron project. And this is basically 3 kilometers of mineralization, or 3.6 kilometers actually of mineralization, from Gretienne Zone over to the west, coming across down our Four Seasons High, our road that you can see coming along here, coming all over down toward the team zone and the QF zone. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at each of these sites in an aerial shot, and then we'll take a look at them underground as well. And we'll take a look at some drill core, which I don't think we've shown much of. So I'm quite excited about that. So starting over at the west at the Gratien Gold Zone, this will have core photos in it when it's live on the website. I would check back in a couple of days when you're able to access the verified platform. We're just waiting to upload some pics. But this is what we've been targeting as an open pitable system. As you can see, very dry, fully road accessible, mostly drilled in the winter historically, but as you can see, there's no significant impediments to access this in the summer. And we think it should be a nice low strip ratio, near surface, potentially open pitable system. Over towards the Grey Cat Gold Zone, this is what we again are targeting as a starter pit or a near surface open pit system. Pretty dry. There's a couple little boggy spots over here, but for the most part, it's very accessible year round. Taking a look at some of the drill core from Grey Cat. We can see some, so this is an example of some of the higher grade mineralization we're seeing within Grey Cat, and you're getting some sphalerite mineralization along with pyrite in these cubic shapes. The rust is coming from sphaleritic rock within a quartz vein, and there's little bits of visible gold in this veinlet as well. And here's a look at a better composite shot. And this one here represents a larger, more disseminated body of mineralization, with gold being associated with these tiny little fractures in association with the rhyolite. You get little pyrite bands and little veinlets following the foliation. And occasionally we get things like this, which is, I would say, an ultra high grade little stringer vein that somehow resulted in 130 grams per ton of mineralization, while the surrounding rock is largely weakly mineralized. Taking a look over at the Eastern Gold Zone, this is where we have done a lot of work. As you can see, we've drilled a lot of holes in this area. We've done a big replanting program. So a lot of this material actually was a lot less green as of last year, but we've had a really active ESG program in the last little bit to clean the site up. So here's again our highway in the background, and I'll show you what our major zones are. So we have the high grade zone trending basically starting up near surface here, trending down towards the east in this direction, and that's going down vertically. And I'll show you what that looks like in 3 dimensions. We have our Denise zone, which basically starts kind of over here, comes up along this direction, and trends off like this over to where we've found recently the extension of Denise across this little creek. And as I'll show you again in drill holes shortly, it is very much wide open for additional expansion and exploration. Clean this up a little bit. We've got our E2 gold zone. We've got our new team zone as well, which we'll talk about shortly. We've got the upper high grade zone actually as well, which we don't really talk about much, but it's right around here, and it's been delivering some really good numbers over the past couple of years as well. So we'll take a look at some of the drill core. I don't think we've ever shown anyone any drill core from Denise. So this is a rhyolite rock, similar to what we just looked at on the Grey Cat Gold Zone. However, it's extremely altered. There's a ton of sericitic and silica alteration within this rock. And it's one of the reasons, and I'll talk about this when we talk about the team zone, that we have such a widely spread and diffuse mineralized system on Denise to the south, because it was previously altered before the mineralizing system came in, and it allowed for a lot more fluid pathways and a lower grade system than what we get up to the north, which again is really neat. It's just different. So we'll talk about the team zone mineralization shortly, but this is an example of some Denise style mineralization with again, one of these little stringer veinlets that drives in a whole lot of gold into the system without too much volume. So And the neat thing about this little stringer veinlet providing 131 grams is it shows the power of this mineralizing system. The fluid that came into the Perron project, in particular the Beaupré block, was highly enriched in gold. And if you'd like, just reach out to me and we can send a paper that we wrote that speaks to that nature. Oh, went a little too far here. 1 second, sorry. So that's Denise drill core, taking a look at some high-grade zone mineralization. This is pretty typical. We have our rhyolitic host rock. We have our major vein set coming in across here, like that. This area here, I believe returned around 2 ounces per ton. And then we have some additional mineralization in the footwall in this case. And then we return back into our rhyolitic Beaupré further down hole. We've also got some nice, a nice example of the actual mineralization and the ore minerals associated with the gold. So as you can see here, we've got a ton of visible gold in this sample. Everything in red is very rich in gold. We've got some sphalerite, which is this brownish mineral here and along here, pyrite in yellow, and then dominantly just quartz and the host rock. So it's very clean mineralization, and it's got a significant gold to sulfide ratio. It's quite low sulfide, and it's very rich in free gold. And the other core photo, actually, I'll go back 1 slide and show you what the QF zone looks like in terms of drill core, because we do have that here. So QF zone, gorgeous, massive sulfide textures. You can see this really nice chalcopyrite, some sphaleritic mineralization as well, some beautiful amphibole alteration and chloritic alteration associated with the sulfide mineralization. And all of this is available for your viewing pleasure at your leisure in the future. It's something we always talk about, but I think it's really worth returning to is the metallurgy at the Eastern Gold Zone. It's spectacular, better than 99% recoveries of gold, with the more important part, more important, but certainly very significant part, is that better than 75% of the gold came out via the gravity circuit, which is by far the most inexpensive way to recover gold. This is just a look at some of the infrastructure that we have on site. This is what we call our laydown area, where we store sort of the lesser important drill core. We've got a medic shack out here. Our drillers have workshops out here. Our main geotechnical provider has a workshop out here. As you can see, there's some heavy equipment here as well. So it would be quite easy to build a mine in this area, as you can see. Taking a look just at some drill rigs on the site. This is how easy the access is. I think you can see me and my dog actually standing by the pickup truck over here. And then in this case, we were drilling off Denise to the south, as well as the E2 gold zone over here. Again, ease of access, drill rig on site, very simple. And that is really important, and it allows us to stretch our exploration dollars significantly further. Okay, now we'll take a look underground. What we're looking at here is a lot of drilling. So this represents over 300,000 meters of drilling that's been conducted on the Perron project since around 2019, plus some historical drilling as well. What we're looking at here are those same gold zones that we discussed on the aerial photo. We've got the Gratien, Grey Cat, Denise, and the high-grade zone. And then we'll take a look at the QF zone and the team zone as well in a bit more detail. So, sorry about that. And really what I want to show you is that although we have done a ton of drilling, it's all mainly been focused right around here. There's a lot of open area to the west. There's quite a bit of open area towards the east. Just looking right here, I mentioned that Denise is wide open for additional drilling. there's basically nil in this whole portion over here. And I'll show you, actually, you can even see it right now. There is gold mineralization along that same contact further to the east. So although we have done a lot of drilling, in our opinion, there's still lots of ground to explore. And we think that there will be additional discoveries on this project. And the other neat thing, now that we have all the drill holes in here, is I'll put on the property boundary. I mentioned this lower andesite unit has been very under drilled. There's barely any drill holes in that whole portion. So lots and lots of opportunity to make new discoveries. Zooming in a little bit, what we're looking at here is basically the mineralized system. So this is everything better than 0.1 grams per ton, every individual assay that has ever been recovered on the property. And what we're looking at here is a large system. You can see basically the majority of the Perron or the Beaupré block that we've drilled to date is very well mineralized. We have sorry guys, it crashed there a little bit. We have a large scale system. We'll take a look at all these different zones in detail. But just while we're on the subject right now, I'll show you where the team zone is with respect to the balance of the mineralization. So the team zone, if you looked at our press release, would have seen that we've been working on understanding the geometry. So we've drilled at multiple orientations. The team zone is located right around here. We'll take a look at it shortly in Leapfrog to get a better handle on that system, but it's missing a lot of assays currently. So we think there's potentially a lot more to come from the team zone just on the holes that we've drilled already. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the Gretienne gold zone. This is the most westerly zone that we have. Turn off these blocks, and you can see that it's essentially comprised of a large-scale, broad gold system, both to the north and to the south. But the main areas of interest for us are these panels of more continuous gold mineralization that we can wrap some ore shells around. So that's Gretienne. It's very much open for additional expansion. The system is I think wide open to the west and certainly to depth. Taking a look over at Grey Cat Gold Zone. This is a new discovery that we made by essentially following a magnetic lineament that came up off of the Gretienne, and I can show you what that looks like here. And again, all of this is available for you to play with. And if anyone comes up with great targets, please call me. So basically, we were following this magnetic lineament that was coming off of Gretienne, and that's how we discovered the Grey Cat Gold Zone. And it's a really simple, nice, tight gold system. And again, I'll turn off that shape so that we can see it nicely. So here's the overall Gretienne body, or Grey Cat body, trending across here, wide open for expansion, again, both to the east and to the west, as well as at depth. So lots of opportunities to add mineralization there as well. And you can see actually right here, it's a really nice tight system. You can also see that it lines up well with some of this mineralization over towards the east. And now taking a look at the Eastern Gold Zone, which is a lot of different zones all stitched together, but is shaping up to almost become one larger body of mineralization. We have, again, I'll turn off these bodies, and I'll just show you my interpretation of them. So we have our high-grade zone coming across here. Color. High-grade zone coming across here. We have Denise basically coming like this and then stopping for no reason, because as we move further down, you'll see in a second when I put on the major faults, it looks to be quite continuous going further to the east as well. So that's the high grade zone. You can see this Knife Lake body is the high grade. We have the upper high grade zone just to the north here. Trending across here, we have our team zone. We have the E2 gold zone. We have the 210 gold zone. We have some additional mineralization that hasn't made it into a zone further to the east. We have the Alizé zone just over here to the west as well. So we think there's lots of opportunities to add additional zones, additional targets, and additional mineralization to this system as well. And here's the labels that I just drew for you, so we'll skip through that. And this is what is really exciting for me about Denise in particular. All the gold basically en Perron, or in the Beaupré block for the most part, sits within these major structural faults. You see the gold coming in to the north of this and to the south of this one. When we take a look over at Denise, which is this body here, let me turn off that. Which is basically this portion here. You can see there's a bit of gold over here, a bit of gold over here. Again, sits just above that fault. And I think that there's a very good chance that we'll be able to add basically another third to this system with some drilling. And I'll turn on the drill traces. You can see that there's basically been no drilling there ever. And I think it's a prime piece of the Beaupré to add significant ounces. We'll take a look, same thing here. And this is just an overall look at the main bodies of mineralization: Gratienne, Grey Cat, high grade, Denise extension, and the balance of the Eastern Gold Zone up in this portion here. These are some highlights. I won't go through them in much detail because we've had them all over our website for quite some time lately. As you know, Amex delivers very high grade gold on a regular basis, along with some nice large swaths of lower grade mineralization. And we expect that we'll be able to continue doing that going forward as well. And then this is just an idealized sketch, but it certainly is a wide open project with lots of room to grow in all directions, plus a lot of underexplored geology that we think we can build upon. And then just a quick look back at infrastructure. This is our projects are over there that we just talked about. There's a power line cutting across the site that goes right into town. It feeds the Hecla's Casa Berardi mine and mill. We've got the town of Normantal with their core shack, an old tailings facility, access roads all over the place. Take a look. That's the transformer station that supplies the Hecla Casa Berardi mine. Here is the town of La Sarre, which is the larger service town that has Canadian Tire. It's a large scale town that could support much of our labor needs. And then we'll take a look inside of our core shack. This is our large core facility. As you can see, we've done a whole lot of drilling and filled up a lot of these core racks over the past couple of years. We'll take a look inside. There's yours truly looking at some drill core. Nice big facility with some beautiful drill core. Again, there's me and Mathieu looking at some core. There's the model for the day, loading some core racks, and there's one of our other geologists as well on the site. So I think that'll be it for me today. We'll turn it over to the Q&A period. In summary, Amex is, I would say we're one of the premier explorers in Quebec. We've done a lot of drilling. We've had a lot of fantastic results, raised a lot of capital, and I think that we're poised for continued success going forward. So I'll turn the screen share off and I'll put my camera back on, and we'll open up the Q&A. So a couple questions here. I don't know if Victor's on. From Pele, thanks for doing a great job finding gold and copper zones. I wonder how come the turnaround time from the assay lab is so long? Are we doing anything special to speed up the process? What I understand that the maiden resource, the study has been delayed. Is it likely to think that with this long turnaround time from lab, the maiden resource will be completed as expected at Q1 2023? The lab that we're using right now, they had a big breakdown on their primary crusher a little while ago, which dramatically made a big backlog. We could pay to rush our assays, but honestly, the amount of drilling that we're doing, it's a slippery slope. We've got a great relationship with the laboratory that we utilize, and there's always so much core sitting there that there's always assays coming back, and rushing for individual drill holes doesn't really benefit us aside from just getting something to put out into news, and that's not what we're after. We like to just batch up large amounts of drill holes, focused on different zones and present them in a cohesive manner. So, and with respect to whether or not this will delay the maiden resource, it all depends on how quickly the assay lab can catch up. We are doing the work, we're advancing it, so we're trying to get it out around that time. But we'll provide guidance if it's delayed beyond that point. Mike McGuinn, when will you be doing step outs towards the North Shikobi Fault? So Mike, the team zone basically was one of those that sits right at the North Shikobi Fault. And I actually forgot to mention the difference in geology. So at the south, where we have Denise, it's this really brecciated, really altered rock that we looked at earlier. In the north, it's a lot more silicified, and the mineralization that we're seeing is a lot tighter. You're getting these cracks, you're getting these pulses of high-grade gold, and it has the possibility to produce more of a stockwork type system. So we're really excited about that. We are going to work the North Fault now much more aggressively, particularly now that we've seen the team zone results that we're really excited about. And yeah, happy to chat further, Mike. Anonymous, is there potential that all these zones connect at depth, or are they separate, distinct zones? There's potential that they connect even closer to surface, to be honest with you. The mineralization sometimes weakens at the margins of these systems, but for example, the team zone lines up roughly with the 210 zone. The Gratienne zone lines up roughly with the high grade zone, or sorry, the Grey Cat zone lines up roughly with the high grade zone. The Denise zone lines up roughly with Gratienne. And we are seeing, as I showed, a big mineralized footprint around these systems. So certainly potential to expand and potentially connect some of these zones. But right now we're treating them as separate and distinct. Sorry, Victor, they're all technical questions for me.
No, that's good. No, that's everybody.
Pearl Carlson says, thank you. Is the gold mineralization of the zones in today's presentation refractory or not? And the answer is definitely not. At least in the gold zones, we don't yet know about the gold mineralization in the VMS system, but for all of our quartz vein hosted gold systems, it's free gold in quartz veins. And the met work that we've done proves that it's not refractory. Bonnie Hughes, Denise, we said the mineralization stops. Is that because it's not been drilled? Yes. There's a huge gap in drilling. So we've just recently built a road, and we expect to expand our drilling further to the east, to potentially expand that zone. Randy, it appears in some presentations, including today, that mineralization in the high-grade zone extends well below press releases to about 1,400 meter. Comments? Good eye. So some of that mineralization is related to Denise. When we were drilling on some of the high-grade zone holes, we drilled Denise down at depth. There is some Denise mineralization at great depths, and we have been drilling the high-grade zone to depth as well. We can certainly present that when we have assay results. There's a couple scattered results here and there, but at some point in the future, when we have additional results, we'll put something out with respect to that. Alan Labakan, first thing impresses me is the high-grade continuity in the high-grade zone. Equally impressive is how tightly packed the various zones are as you move to the east, where the two faults come together, which looks like a great area for rock preparation. It sure looks like these zones have a chance to come together at depth. Yeah, I agree. I think that that especially in the eastern portion where those two faults are starting to squish together, there's a lot going on geologically. Eric Lemieux, with your accumulated knowledge on the Beaupré block, are there regional targets that you're interested in? I'm assuming that you mean outside of Perron. I'm imagining if so, there's not too much we can look at, but of course we look at projects. But truly, our Beaupré block it continues to deliver. So for us, there isn't too much outside of the Beaupré that we're really keen on at the moment. That is until we see the results from our geochem survey. So on our own property, we might do some more significant regional exploration in the coming months, or perhaps this winter. Anonymous, all the zones are similar mineralization, geology is the same. So from a processing standpoint, yes. So all of the gold zones, Gretchen, Greycat, Denise, high grade zone, 210 team for that matter, they're very, very similar mineralization. I expect that from a processing standpoint, there won't be any significant issues. Alan, can I speak to the power of the mineralization considering the widespread? Yeah, for sure. Considering the widespread high-grade gold. Like I showed, I don't know if you saw that, but when I was showing just the pictures of Denise or Greycat, and you have these little tiny veinlets that deliver 100+ gram assay results over a large interval, that shows that this mineralizing fluid is very, very rich. It's got a high carrying capacity for gold. And there's something chemically or just structurally about the Beaupré block that has really benefited us. And yeah, I'm really keen about the overall property. And Victor, here's one for you. Interview on YouTube. I heard Victor commenting on the idea of spinning out a royalty for shareholders. Any new thoughts on the topic? Have you spoken about this idea with any large shareholders? And what was their reaction to this idea?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's something I really can't comment on.
Okay.
Spin out anything that brings out value to our shareholders. We're always considering that. But I can't speak more to it than
that. Anonymous, can you please speak to the number of current drills, location of these drills? So actually, as of last week, there's no drills turning on the site. We have, it's not for a bad, Victor looked up what. No, we take a small break during the hunting season. It's basically our fall breakup period. So we've got about a 10-day break here where it's kind of nice. You can actually collect your thoughts and review everything in 3 dimensions. We've got 7 drills operating on site at the moment. Right now, 1 on the team zone, 1 doing some more regional work. The balance focused on the Eastern Gold Zone in terms of both expansion and definition and exploration. And Randy, thanks, buddy. That's I think that's all of the questions. I'll leave it open for a minute or two here in case anyone else has something they'd like to ask. If not, thank you so much for your attendance and attentiveness. and following the story. And we're really excited about it. Looks like it's it, Victor.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to listening to this great story, and we'll to the next webinar and to the next few press releases that we'll be putting out shortly.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.